Hello and welcome to Why I Love Reaper version 2. In this video, I'm going to be showing some of the finer detail that you can come across in Reaper. It is a huge resource of possibilities. They can seem a bit daunting if you don't know where to look. So we're going to be covering that in this video. Plus also I'm going to point you in the direction of some other YouTube channels that I think are really great at helping you in different directions to go with Reaper. So let's go and check it out. Right, so in the first video I covered a basic overview of what Reaper is and its functionality. In this video we're going to look at a few of the finer details. It's not going to be an exhaustive look at Reaper, but I'm just going to cover a couple of topics here that can get you going, up and running, so that you can get on with producing music. So I think the first thing to mention would be to go to options. So if you left click on options, and if you come down to the very bottom, you'll see preferences. Now you can either click that or you can hit Control P on Windows, and I believe it is Command P on a Mac. So let's left click there, and this selection comes up. This is the Reaper preferences. This is kind of like the powerhouse, if you like, of Reaper, and this is where you can determine what happens and how it happens for your own functionality. Everyone's different and everyone will choose to do things in a different way. I'm not going to go through this very much at all. I'm just showing you where it is. There are plenty of videos out there that can show you how to go through all the finer details of this, but I'm going to cover two areas. The first one will be VST. So if we left click on VST, and this is under the plugins tab, and if you have Clap or LV2 then you can click on there, but my plugins are VST, so I've left clicked, and here you see a list of different areas that your plugins can go. Now if you do not see your folder or direction to where your plugins are installed, mine are installed to a new area. It's not under Steinberg VST plugins, which is how it comes standard. I've created a folder for my VST plugins, and that is up to you. But if you do want to do that, then you need to left click on edit path list and then add a path, and then it will come up to where that path you want to add, and then you can take it from there, and then make sure that all your VST plugins are in that folder so that Reaper can read it. You would need to rescan, and then I always like to tick scan new updated plugins on startup, so that if you've added anything new, it will just scan for it straight away and you'll be able to use them. Following on from that, next one, if you have any MIDI devices, such as a controller for playing keyboards or drum pads or whatever like that, left click on the MIDI devices and come across to here. Now, I have one, and that's the Code 25. It's by M Audio, and it's a 25 key device that I can play keyboards on, and it has some drum pads and such like. And so that is what I use, and I have enabled that here. Okay, so you just come onto here. If it says disabled on there, you just right click on it, and then you would put enable input, and then on the other side of things, this is for output. So that's for input here. This is for the output. So again, if I wanted to enable this, for instance, I would right click, put enable output. That is that. That is all I'm going to do at the moment. Okay, and we'll move on to the next portion of the video. Reaper is very flexible, as we've already established. The thing that really stands it apart from a lot of other DAWs. It can be whatever you want it to be. We achieve that mainly through the extensions. This won't show up until you have downloaded both SWS extensions and Repack. When you have, the extensions will show up, and then go to Repack and do what I'm about to show you. When you install Repack, you will get some plugins and scripts that will come with it straight away, so that you have something to work with. And then there are others that you can import. For ones, if you want to see what you have, go onto Manage Repositories, left click, and here you will see what you have. And these are the different brands, if you like. Some of them are Reaper's own, okay, and then we have MPL, very famous one, X-Frame as well. I believe these two come originally, they're the two that come with Repack, but Psycho is another great one. Toucan I've already covered in the previous video. I highly suggest you get his plugins, they are great. And these two I've just downloaded recently, Bird and Analog Mad. And we go back to Repack, synchronized packages, anything that is available through the packages that you already have, as we've established here, any of them that are downloaded on your system, synchronized packages will check to see if there's anything updated or new within that, and then install it for you. Once that has happened, you will need to reboot Reaper for them to be able to be used. Browse packages, if you will go on to that, this is if there's anything that you know that you want, then you can scroll through here and obtain it from here. Or if you know what it's called, type it in up here and then OK and apply. Alternatively, if you want them all, just select all. The last one we're going to look at here is import repositories. So if you have a link like GitHub or something like that, you can copy and paste it into here, and then you press OK, and then it will import that for you. Okay, so that's two different ways you can import repositories. If you're enjoying watching this video, please consider smashing that like button and subscribing to my channel so that I can keep on bringing this free content. Okay, so JS plugins are the plugins that come standard with Reaper, and if you click on JS here, you'll see the list that comes up, and some of them will come through the Repack extensions, such as third-party ones. So Toucan Studio, Psyche, MPL. Well, MPL will come automatically, but if there's any new ones that come up, then you would install them through the extensions. If I wanted to use some of these plugins, there's a couple of ways that you can put them onto a track. I like to left click on the track, just scroll across to the one I want. Let's pick Abyss Reverb by Psyche. Left click on it, then I'll right click and add to the selected track, and you can always tell if a plugin is instantiated because it won't be grey when you hover over, it will turn green. Left click and we can see this. Now, I heard before that people say, oh well, JS plugins are rubbish, they're no good because they don't look fancy like the paid plugins do. But you know, I don't agree with that. I've used JS plugins a lot in my productions and mixes, and they are every bit as good as commercial plugins. Yeah, you know, the graphics and stuff like that. But this Reverb is great. Let's look at another developer here, Toucan, who I've already mentioned in a previous video. I've covered one of his plugins in my plugin of the day series. This is a tremolo and looks a bit like a Vox amp. This one looks a bit more fancy, but believe me, JS plugins are great, especially if you are starting out and you don't have very much, or you don't have much money at all to use. Then why pay for plugins when there are plenty of plugins, in fact thousands within the extensions area. Yeah, thousands from different developers that you can get for free. Why would you want to pay for plugins when these are just as good? That's just my opinion. That is where you will find them. JS, and I've shown you how one way of installing them onto tracks. So we will move on to the next section. Okay, and the last topic I'm going to talk about in this video today is the actions list. And we can find it up here. If we left click on actions, show actions list, and it will appear like here. Now this is where a lot of the scripts that are downloaded through the extensions that we've covered here, that we've seen here, if it's not a plugin, a JS plugin, then it's going to be a script, and this is where you find them in the actions list. Now this is incredibly powerful. I'm going to give you a quick example of why it's so powerful. First of all, there are thousands of different scripts by all different people. They can range through just about anything you could possibly think of that you wanted to do in Reaper. There are ways of actually mounting these on each other to create your own function. We'll leave that to another video. You can do it two ways. I'm going to go over to one of mine here. So this is render project to disk. We're going to type in here so we'll check the name here, render project to disk, and this is the one here, render project to disk, the same key command. So you can use this key command. So if I wanted to change that key command, I could left click on there and I could come in here, I could press add, and I could change that to whatever I wanted. Just press the appropriate key, press OK, and then we're ready to go. But I'm not going to do that. What I have done is I prefer myself not to use key commands, but to use a file menu like this one here. I'll show you how I did it with the render function. You need to find yourself, once you find it in the area that you're looking for, so type in what you want into the actions list. First of all, go to the function, okay, so in this case, render project to disk. Once you've done that, move to an empty slot on your toolbar, right click and come down to customize toolbar. Left click on that. Now I already have this here, I already have it installed, so I'm not going to add it again. I'm going to show you how you would do this. So you would go to add, so you left click on add. Once you'd left click on add, you move across to here, left click on the function you want, and then move down to where it says select and left click on select. Once that's happened, it will show up in the box here, as it does here, and then you can press an icon, and at the moment I've got it here as you see it in the box there. I know what this means to me. I understand what this function is. So what I need to do, what I've done is I've ticked double width toolbar so that instead of being something like this one here, which is very narrow, it's expanded so I can understand it. I could alternatively go to change icon and use one of these icons, something that would make sense to me. And once you've done that, then you would press apply and then OK, and then it will come up here and then you can use it. And so if I come out of actions there, I've got nothing to send to it, but let's click on this and see what happens. Left click, and this is to render a file out, and then you put entire project. You can change that to time selection if you wanted, or whatever suited you there. The browse the directory it's going to go to. Also name the file. You can use wildcards as well, which will make possible sense to you. I tend not to use wildcards myself. I just like to type in the name and make sure all the criteria here are as you want it to be. And then when there's a file there to be rendered, you just press on render. That will render out your file, and it's a really quick way of doing it. Instead of coming up into file, scrolling down to render, or pressing Ctrl-Alt-R, for me it's much easier just to go there and go boom, and there it is in one click. Okay, that is the power of the actions list. That's what makes Reaper so powerful, and this is just a small example of what the action list can do. There are many great videos out there that can show you far more than what I've just shown you, but I'm just scratching the surface here, as this video really is more aimed at people who are starting out. just wants to get to know Reaper so they can actually get on and make some music. Right, now I'm going to go through quickly over 4 different YouTube channels that I think can make a big difference to how you work in Reaper. These are all great. The people running these channels are very good at what they do. They're very experienced. They all offer something a little bit different, which is why I've chosen these 4 different ones. Okay, so I'll just go through them quickly, and then I'll leave links to these channels below in the description box below this video so that you can check them out for yourself. First one is I Love Reaper by Reaper Tips at Alejandro. The next one is Hot Pole Studios, Adam Steele. He's a very experienced producer, engineer, and musician, and runs a professional studio, Hot Pole Studios, and knows a huge amount about Reaper. He's a long time user, and I highly recommend you check out his channel. The next one, another very experienced user with great knowledge, is Mike at Let's Talk About Reaper. Again, great knowledge. The difference between these 4 different channels is that you'll probably pick up slightly different things from each of them, which is the great thing about Reaper, because one thing about Reaper is that it has a fantastic community and we're all here to help each other. That is one of the big plus points to Reaper. And all the people who are in Reaper and use Reaper are really nice. All these guys are great teachers as well. Make things very clear, easy to understand. And the last one is IDDQD Sound. Arya is the guy who runs this, another very experienced user, another lot of videos here, very experienced. It comes at it from a slightly different angle from some of the others. He has a great in-depth knowledge of the resource packs that come through Reaper, how to problem solve, finding a way for yourself, how to use SWS extensions and repack to your benefit. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Sabs out.